everyone, and welcome back to Don't Open That Door. I'm Justin, and I'm just eating some pone in the corner.
You're what?
Oh, what?
It's a traditional Caribbean dessert enjoyed around Christmas time.
Oh, okay.
Now you know.
Sounds dope.
Cultured
Sounds dope.
here.
I am Nico, and I'm Chartreuse Arbor Day.
Oof.
Okay. I'm Dan, and I'm just an innocent caroler.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yo, they stood around for a fucking minute in
Yeah,
this
they did.
one.
They
And
were
got
waiting for the
paid, though.
payment. They were waiting for the payment.
Yeah.
Well, as you can probably tell by our festive theme here, I'm sure we can even, if we listen real close, hear some sleigh bells in the distance. Because this is a very special episode. Dan, what are we doing today?
So this week we're doing the movie Black Christmas.
That's right. And obviously this is in celebration of the upcoming holiday. This was directed by Bob Clark, starring Olivia Hussey as Jess, Margot Kidder as Barbara, John Saxon as Lieutenant Fuller, Cara DeLea as Peter Smythe, and Lynn Griffin as Claire. So we open with a sorority house, and it's Christmas time because this is a Christmas flick. The sisters receive a disturbing phone call where a man utters several sexually explicit phrases over the phone, and one of them, Claire, tells everyone she feels like it could be dangerous. But everyone's like, nah, not really. Unfortunately, like right after that, an actual serial killer breaks into the house and kills her, hiding her body in the attic. So kind of a fast-paced opening, but where does it go, Nico?
Surprisingly, not immediately to the credits because boy fucking howdy, they don't hide the body well. But the following day, Claire's father shows up, wondering why she never met him at their designated rendezvous location. After some searching, Claire's father goes to the police station along with some of the sorority sisters, but their complaints are quickly ignored. And while this is going on, Jess, another one of the sorority sisters, tells her boyfriend Peter she's pregnant, but she wants to get an abortion. This drives Peter into a rage, and they decide to speak later. The sorority den mother then finds Claire's body in the attic, and the serial killer kills her pretty much immediately after. We learn that there's another young girl that's gone missing, while Claire's boyfriend, meanwhile, intervenes with the police, and they begin to thankfully take him seriously. At this point, the missing girl's dead body is found while Jess and Peter have another fight, and he storms out of the house as the cops come in. They install a tap on the sorority house phone and tell Jess to keep the caller on the line as long as possible because they need as much time as they can to track the location because, this is 74, you see.
Right, you are. Dan, things haven't been jolly so far, but maybe you can help turn this one into a Merry Christmas after all.
No, I can't, Justin. Because at this point, another sorority sister is murdered while Jess continues to receive these really creepy phone calls, but she is unable to keep the caller on the line long enough. The cops begin to suspect Peter, and Jess realizes that the person on the phone uses a phrase that Peter had told her earlier. Yet another sorority sister is killed, but Jess manages to keep the caller on the line long enough for the cops to trace the call, and they realize that it's actually coming from inside the house.
Oop.
Aw, hell.
The cop tells Jess to flee the house, but she goes to check on her sorority sisters, finding them dead. The killer pursues her, but Jess flees to the basement. Peter appears, calling for Jess. He smashes the basement window and approaches her as the cops arrive. We hear Jess scream, and the cops find her unconscious next to Peter's dead body. The movie ends with the cops leaving the house while they wait for Jess to wake up as she's kind of in shock. Unfortunately, the phone rings, and we are left with the knowledge that the killer is still there, still alive, and has killed her.
Has he killed her?
Yeah, he calls after every kill.
Oh.
Oh.
I
thought he
for
just
that.
You
calls.
didn't get that?
I
Oh.
think so.
No.
I thought, well, he does call, but he calls
Yeah.
loud.
No, he calls after he kills.
Oh, that's true. He does call after he kills. Look at that. Look at
Letting
that.
you make sure time and all that.
Well, Dan's already told me some information, so it's your turn now, Nico.
Well,
How's this one look?
Fuck. How was I caught off guard for this? Yeah, it looks nice. It looks really homey. It looks like a very warm, inviting house, and the set design on this one, it just went towards making the place feel really intimate and welcoming, and I liked that because it then made the reality that you've got, someone just chilling in your attic, coming down and stabbing people, a lot more scary, I think. This is a movie that would have been less scary if the set design wasn't as good, I think.
I agree. And one thing I also really liked is you can tell that it's, like college age people living in the house. There's a part where Claire's father shows up and he's really disapproving of the house and he just doesn't like how it's basically kind of like a little bit of a party house. And there's this massive picture of a dude and a chick like getting it in, like plastered on the wall. And the den mother tries her best to like block the picture while talking to the father, and he just sees it anyways. So I liked the way it looked. I thought, this movie wasn't one that went over the top with gore, but at the same time, I don't think it needed to. It tried to aim for that more realistic thing, and I liked it. Also, this movie precedes, it's older than Friday the 13th, yeah?
It's also older than Halloween.
Yes. And this one also uses that kind of first-person POV that when we talked about Friday the 13th, we mentioned, like we kind of like that. But this one definitely also uses that. And since it came before those other two, it's kind of so far the forerunner. Maybe there was another movie that used it even before, but just in terms of, slasher films, this has got to be one of the earliest examples of it.
Yeah.
And I liked it because there's a part where the killer is going to like climb up, I guess, a wall or something like that to get to the attic. And he like looks up and it's like a ways to climb. And I was like, damn, this dude was like, I don't know, like he's really trying to climb up this thing. But I like the way it looked overall. Dan, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I like the way it looked too. And there's definitely some really like creepy, disturbing shots. Like Claire gets suffocated and the killer just leaves her body there. And there's several times where the movie just kind of like cuts, like almost as transition cuts, like to her just like sitting there like suffocated with a bag over her head. And like there's a cat in the movie and the cat's just like licking her at one point or like just doing like really creepy, disturbing stuff. And some of the cinematography is really unsettling, which is good. Like it accomplishes, mission accomplished.
All right. And sling some more of those dulcet tones my way. What do you think about the sound?
I like the sound a lot. There's a lot of like prepared piano kind of parts in there, which really helps to, again, just unsettle you. It's a relatively familiar sound, being a piano, but, prepared piano, they will put like pins and pens and different household objects.
That's what you
on
call
the strings.
that. Okay.
Yeah. To give the strings like a very like warped sound or very different kind of sound. So that was done very effectively, I think.
All right. I will say as well, a key aspect of this is definitely the phone calls.
Because it's piano keys.
See what I did there?
Yeah.
But I like the phone calls a lot too, because when they start off, they kind of start off as just kind of really obscene, like prank calls, essentially. And then it kind of like goes from that, just keeps getting like more and more like, because this started off as like a yellow card, but then quickly went into like a red card, quickly went into like double red card, because I mean, it just kind of went from something where it's like, okay, I could hypothetically see somebody making this kind of phone call like as a joke if you knew him or something like that, but like it ended up being something like so much more. And like as the phone calls got worse and worse and more scary, like they became more like discordant. There were like more voices. There was like more going on. They became harder and harder to even understand. It just sounded like ranting and raving. So it's kind of like, okay, like I like that. I like that because it was, again, like every time the phone called, the phone didn't call, but every time the characters, got a phone call, they got more and more scared, and the phone calls would kind of reflect that. So I really, really dug that. Nico, any additions you would have to the sound?
More of a question, really. Am I tripping, or was he at one point like, were there sounds of what could have been interpreted as him like pleasuring himself while he was on the phone with them? I'm not sure if that was an intentional thing or if that was
like at the start.
Yeah. Is that what he was doing?
I don't know if that's what he was actually doing, but yeah, I do think so. Like, I think a lot of times he seemed to be like channeling, like, I don't know, his past trauma or some shit or other people or whatever. So I don't know if he was actually doing that or if he was just mimicking somebody doing that.
Yeah, like the first time, and again, I've never seen this movie before in my life, but the first time that the phone call was made, I thought that it was going to be revealed as like a, like her boyfriend or something like that, or like something like a really crude sexual phone call. Like, that's what I thought it was at first. And then like as a joke though, like you know this person or something like that, but like, nah.
It's a shitty
like, it
joke.
Was, I mean, yeah, but some people, hey, they made a lot of shitty jokes in this movie. I don't know if you remember what she said about the townie. Yeah.
No, for sure.
So,
I'm just saying, like, don't fuck with that at all.
These people are savage, bro.
Yeah.
So I was just like, yeah, maybe, possibly, like, just, again, never seeing the movie. I didn't think it was the killer. But sure enough, so it was. So I want to talk a little bit real quick about this film's legacy. So we talked a little bit about it may have had some influences, on films like Halloween or Friday the 13th. Is there anything other influences that we can see?
I believe this was the first seasonal horror movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Big shout.
This isn't like, it's obviously called Black Christmas and takes place around Christmas. I wouldn't consider this a Christmas movie. It's like, the Christmas is really just the setting. Like, there isn't really, it's not like a gimmick, it's not like, oh, this is Santa Claus murdering people or, whatever. It's just happens to be taking place during Christmas, I think. But yeah, I'm pretty sure this was the first movie that used that as a setting. Even like other holidays too,
Wow.
Halloween came later, Friday the 13th, and all those.
That is fair.
Later.
That is fair.
Yeah.
Well, first off, if this is a Christmas movie, so is Die Hard. But secondly,
Agreed.
I think that we can pretty clearly see some references, like Scream, for example, definitely draws from this movie. Also, this movie clearly has the classic line about the phone call coming from inside the house.
Yeah.
And it's kind of wild because, like I said, I'd never seen this before, but I guess just like horror culture, horror pop culture has corrupted me to the point where I knew the line. So I was like, oh, is this where it comes from? And then like, I always thought it came from like Scream, but I was wrong because that was just a reference. Nico, anything that you can see from this in terms of like its maybe influence it had on future movies, or just generally, what did this do for slashers?
I think it made the idea of phone calls to be a lot scarier than they would be now, which is kind of like, I think, essential to the growth of the slasher genre. Just because motherfuckers didn't have caller ID back then, you feel me?
Right.
Like, it was something that you could do and you could easily fucking prank someone. Like, I could start, if this was the 70s, I could just go back and start, like, I don't know, growling into a phone, and motherfuckers would think like, oh god, a demon was calling me, or perhaps not that exactly, but you could get away with some real scurrilous fuckery if you wanted to. And I think that just this being what, spoiler for my thoughts here, I really like this one. I think this being just a particularly good film set the precedent of that being included in other slasher movies, perhaps.
That's true. It is kind of funny to note, though, that the age of kind of prank calling has somewhat declined.
Yeah. Now they just want to talk to me about my fucking extended warranty.
I know, bro. If they don't stop hitting me up.
Fucking Zoom room.
Oh.
People jumping in rooms and classes.
Oh, that's true.
Yo.
That's true.
That's new
true.
prank calls.
I mean, people used to prank call all through the 90s, even a little bit into the OOs, bro. The naughties.
I remember there was one time I prank called my dad, and I put on this really stupid accent and made my voice sound really, really deep, like I was some sort of merchant. And I called him while he was at work, and I told him Hi, yes, I wanted to update you on your wife's purchase of 11 pig ears or some shit like that. And he just called and was like, Donna, what the fuck? So there's a little fun rant for you from DOTD history from me to you.
Like all merchants have deep voices. I made my voice deep like a merchant.
You know, like that archetypical merchant figure from video games and shit.
So I have a question now. Why do you think, and I'm going to address this to you, Dan, but Nico, I also want your take on it as well. Reviews were not super kind to this film when it came out initially, but over time, they've kind of softened to the point where now this film is kind of regarded as a classico by a lot of people. Why do you think?
I think maybe because I think this movie is really disturbing. So maybe it was a little too disturbing for a lot of people. But then also, I don't know that it would have been taken as, you know, all the influences that we've talked about, and it definitely has influenced a lot of slashers forever, really. But of course, you can't see that influence at the time of release because it hasn't influenced anything yet. So I think as time went on and the genre evolved, people realized, oh shit, like Black Christmas really started a lot of this, or maybe didn't start, but at least really helped propel these things into the genre. You know, the first person POV and everything. So, you know, looking back on it, I think you can say it's a classic, and it really did start a lot.
That's true. A lot of people, you know, I mean, they want to thank current, but they really should be thanking the light switch too when they turn on the light. Because you got to see where that all came from.
Okay.
So.
I thought you meant like current versus past.
Oh, no. So I also want real quick to talk about how, from my perspective, I agree with you, Dan, that definitely this is something where it's almost kind of like a, you know, like you might not appreciate this, but your kids are going to love it type scenario. But it's one of those where I think at the time, because there weren't a lot of movies like it, there wasn't an appreciation for it. Dan, I think we're going to get onto this. I think it's probably a little better if we get onto a little piece of trivia that you have about the movie. But I'm sure, you know, in kind of the years after, the direct years after, people kind of were maybe a little bit freaked out about this movie's relation to a real event that happened in real life. I also want to, Nico.
Wait, Christmas is real?
Oh, shit.
Wait till I show you Easter. But I also want to ask, I've seen some scurrilous rumors on the internet, Nico, and as always, I come to you to confirm or deny. Is this feminist horror?
I was not thinking about it as I was watching that. I'm not going to lie and say like, oh, yeah, I thought about it at the time. I think this is something that does, you know, prominently feature a mostly female cast, and I like that. I don't know to what degree this is a film that's necessarily super empowering, though. So I struggle to call it that. I think it's just a case of what I would say is good casting.
I'm largely in agreement with you. I think one good thing they did, and maybe this is because the trope hadn't even really been around too much yet, to me, the sorority sister who I thought would have actually been the quote-unquote final girl was actually the first one to get killed.
Yeah.
Because, you know, she was like the quote-unquote good girl, and she was the first one out the door. So this movie definitely turned that on its head. But did they really? Because it wasn't even around yet. But.
Well, I also like that there's no, like, sexualization of any of the characters.
I love that.
You know, it's just,
yep.
These are just regular-ass girls.
Loved that.
Regular shit.
Aside from the fellatio thing, you're right. Like, which is a joke.
I mean, yeah, that's not sexualizing a character. That's just a crude
Yeah, I know
joke,
what you mean.
You know?
I know what you mean. I guess that is maybe a point in the direction. I don't want to take anything away from like sex positive films, but I mean like
character design goes in with set design just as much. So yeah,
I do think as well, though, for me, I think perhaps the biggest talking point in favor of it being considered feminist horror, even if it's not like super strong feminist horror, is there are a lot of issues that this movie kind of discusses and talks about and just generally has you know, people, specifically women, being ignored by the police, violence against women, even a little argument about abortion gets drawn into the movie as well. So the movie, and again, we've said on the podcast time and time again, horror does cover more than just horror. Oftentimes, a lot of topics get brought up in horror movies. And I think this was probably no different in that there were a lot of different women-specific issues that get brought up in the movie. And for something that came out in 1974, that was a little unexpected for me personally. Like, I didn't necessarily see that coming in the movie. So that is, I think, another point therefore. But then again, it's not for me to decide what is or isn't, just discussing it. So I want to talk now about, we talked about some intelligence. Let's talk about some stupidity. So a lot of characters in this movie suffered from real cases of just being mad stupid. Leading with Lieutenant, Sergeant, whatever his name was, Nash. So they point out how stupid he is in the movie too. He's like, Nash, a little girl got killed. Another girl went missing. These people are getting threatening phone calls. You didn't think we should have checked that out. And he's just like, oh. And I'm like, bruh. He asked this girl where she lived. She was like, yeah, I live at like 6 Fellatio Boulevard. And like, he has the thing in his hand. Like, the detectives are cracking up. And he's like, bro, do you know what this is? And he's like, it's something dirty, isn't it? I'm like, bro. And then like at the very end, he's like, Nash, don't tell her the killer's in the house. Just tell her to leave. And then he's like, you gotta go. I don't wanna. You gotta go. I want to check on my sorority sisters. He's in the house. Get out now, girl. Get out now. And I'm just like, yo, you had one job. But also, come on now. How did no one know this dude was chilling in the house? Like,
yeah,
straight
he was
up.
pretty loud.
Yeah, he killed people.
Well, especially when he was like doing the phone calls and like screaming and all that kind of stuff. Like I thought somebody was the last phone call, I thought she was gonna like hear him upstairs and realize that.
Well, all right. So they give you a massive clue, and it was like the first spoiler when they talk about how the locations of the phones, and then they go, oh, there's one more phone in like the, like the dead mother's room. And they're like, but it's a different line.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like the giveaway. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, it's a different line. And so he was calling from that room the whole time he was on the phone. He was like, like he's on the phone in that room doing all types of wild shit and no one hears him or sees him. Fuck me. Peter was upstairs with him. And like he didn't hear anything. I was like, yo, come on. I found that to be a little tad bit unrealistic that you would know this dude was on the phone. Also, like, what's her name? Damn it, Claire. Her dead body is in the window facing the fucking road.
Yeah.
Like, literally all the cops or anyone on the road had to do was tilt their head up about 15 degrees and they could have seen her. So, I don't know. Was there any other kind of like things that happened in this movie where you couldn't possibly believe like people missed it or people did it?
I think you covered it. Just like
Yeah,
between the volume of this motherfucker as he's wailing away in either the attic or the dead mother's room, and just again, it is wild that we didn't just cut to credits at the beginning there with the girl just like splayed on the fucking window. Like, bro, you could have just, I don't know, pushed her a foot to the left.
I also like the fact that it was like, hey, yeah, she told everyone she was going to go. She packed her bags to go and then disappeared. Yeah, she probably just went to go shack up with the boyfriend somewhere. And her clothes?
Yeah,
and her boyfriend? What? Like, that made no sense.
Yeah.
Even if you were going to dismiss it based on, like, oh, she's with her boyfriend. Like, her boyfriend's right there.
Well, no, they talk about that. They're like, who else is she hooking up with? And everyone's like, nobody. She's like the good girl of the group.
Yeah, but I mean, like, and I get that, but it's just like, there were a lot of assumptions the police were making in this one.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
They were like, oh, yeah, da-da-da-da-da. But, and I want to kind of hit this piece as well. So the movie paints Peter as the killer. You know, to be honest, it kind of feels like the whole reason they even threw in that kind of like abortion subplot was so that Peter would have something to get really angry about. And at any point in time, did you ever believe he could be the killer?
I did near the beginning, but then as soon as the arguments about the abortion started, I was like, okay, now he's not the killer because this is too obvious of a reason to be mad, just like you said. But at the beginning, there was a little bit where I was kind of entertaining that, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be one of the boyfriends or potentially one of the cops. But yeah, I mean, once he told her, you'll be sorry, I was like, okay, so you're definitely not the killer then. Like, you're definitely not the killer. And it was kind of messed up because there was also, like, I guess a little bit where he was in the house. Like, he was like, I was taking a nap. When he got there, I guess he was waiting for Jess or something like that. And she told the cops, yeah, it couldn't have been him because he was right there with me when not right there with her, but like he was right upstairs when the phone call was being made. And then like, yeah, technically, I guess he could have, but like, I don't know. It just, for me, like that was kind of like a weak push in the direction of like Peter being a killer. I was like, I don't know about that. And then when the killer like used a phrase that Peter used, I was like, yeah, but anyone in the house, like if he's already in the house, he would know the thing. So
right.
I don't
That's
know.
what we as a viewer can understand.
Oh yeah, certainly,
But,
certainly.
You know, as somebody in that situation, that makes sense to me that those thoughts went through her head and everything, because they would go through mine too, you know?
I guess for me, the biggest thing against it was just the fact that like Peter didn't get mad until like 2 people had already gone missing.
Yeah.
So like, I was like, I don't know if that really lines up. Like, I guess Duke could just be psycho, but like, I feel kind of like he didn't have a reason to get mad. If they'd done the whole argument at the very start of the movie and then people started going missing, I feel like that would have been a stronger case for him being the killer then. But Dan, I think you have a little bit of trivia to share with us about this movie, right? Some real life shit maybe mixing around here?
As with a lot of classic movies, there is a lot of trivia. So as Justin kind of mentioned before, this movie does have some unfortunate real circumstances surrounding it. I think it was NBC had planned to air the movie, and then there was a murder in a Florida, or a couple murders in a Florida sorority house. Turns out that was Ted Bundy. And because it was so similar to what this movie was, you know, guy going around killing people in sorority house, a lot of people petitioned for NBC to pull the movie and not air it. So they ended up pulling it, airing something else, and then they showed the movie in like May or something, like 6 months after it was supposed to be aired or whatever. So yeah, that was it. And there's also been rumors or speculation that Ted Bundy was inspired by this movie due to, like, I guess he used a name at one point similar to one of the characters in the movie. And he has cited horror movies and porn to be like inspirations for him. So sometimes people think this movie was one of those inspirations. Another really interesting piece that you kind of talked about, the phone calls earlier.
Yeah.
Those phone calls were added during post-production.
Okay.
So on set, the actors were just reacting to the director saying like mean things. And I can just imagine the actor the director just being like, "You're ugly. Stop. You suck at acting," or whatever. Like, I don't know what he was saying, but they added these in post, and the voice actor for Billy they did a lot of different like weird things to try to get like the different sounds of his voice, including having him stand on his head and deliver the lines, because that got like the right tone of voice and everything.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And I think I was reading that there's actually like 3 people who contribute to the voice of Billy at different
That's
times.
Fucking rad. I love that.
And then finally, on a lighter note, one point in the movie, one of the characters, Barb, mentions that there's a species of turtle that can have sex for 3 days.
Yes.
That would be the sea turtle. Just FYI.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Apparently the zebra nuts in 30 seconds though.
Oh yeah, apparently. I didn't look that one up.
Those are all the facts we're going to name.
Yep.
Oh, were you not going to talk about the pig or the whale, Nico?
No,
I feel like
wasn't.
Aren't you a specialization in this though?
Well, fucking thanks for that label on my back there. Isn't it some shit like pig orgasms can last for like 3 hours or something?
There you go, bro.
Insane.
I knew you knew it. I knew you knew it because you had known it in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's on me.
that's on all of us now. But with that shining example,
Phrasing.
let's go ahead and go into the what would you do. So let's say that, I guess we're not really in like a sorority or anything like that, or a fraternity or anything like that. But let's just say we're just posted up, just chilling, and you just got like a wild ass phone call, just telling you like the wildest things on the phone call. Like, what would you say or what would you do?
This is the thing that is kind of surreal as a millennial to think about. Just, I don't fucking talk to people on the phone. Like, I would just like, if there's a number that I'm getting and I see like, I don't know this person, I'm not fucking answering.
Text me instead, bro.
Yeah, like the fuck no, we're not doing this. So there's some definite cognitive dissonance there, but like pushing that aside for a second, I feel like I would pretty quickly just like hang up.
Same.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like that was my thing. They were like really on this phone for a minute. I'd have been like, no. Like I would have been hung up
Yeah.
quite a while into that. But let's say maybe we were in a house with like a bunch of other people and then someone just kind of, like, oh, I'm about to go home for Christmas. We're like, okay, sick. And then like their bags are packed, but they just disappear. Like, what would you say? What would you do?
Oh, I guess I went to Narnia. Fuck.
Dan?
I wouldn't do that. I don't know. I guess.
And we're taking cell phones out of it because
I know
we
that's
got to
what-
kind of put it in the context of the movie.
Yeah.
I would probably look. This is gonna sound stupid. I look around the house for her or them. After
That's not
finding
stupid.
them.
That's basic investigation. That's smart. This is why
I
you
guess,
live.
but, yeah. And then maybe I would if I have contact information for, her dad or whoever she was supposed to meet, I would call him. And then after that, I would probably give up for a little while, for a day. And then if I hadn't heard anything, then I would start seriously going after things, cops and whatever else. Especially if the dad showed up and was like, "Oh, she never met me."
Yeah, that would probably be the thing that get me to be like, all right, something's gone wrong here. But last up, I know where this answer is going to be, but if you knew that there could possibly be some kind of serial killer coming to get you, and the three of us are in the crib, what would you do to defend yourself? What would be the moves?
Hit him with this.
Nico holds a heavy guitar in his hand like he's fucking El Kabong or some shit.
Hey, it works.
Be fucking, what's that one character from Dexter's Lab? Whenever they do the fantasy characters. and one
Oh,
has the guitar.
yo, fuck, what's his name?
He's
I
like
don't remember his name,
some
but-
kind of god, right?
Yeah.
He's
is
like
it,
Van
the
Halen
blonde hair?
Thor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what you would do, Nico.
Fuck yeah.
I would probably kind of do what Jesse did and grab fire poker or something and wield that.
I would honestly, I'd probably grab my cutlass. That would have to be the goal. And I'm gonna keep it real with you. I feel because this serial killers never use guns in these movies. They never do.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel I would just have to, what I'm saying? I got a ninja sword. I got my cutlass. I'm yo, I'm ready.
Bro, I would get a gun. When those fucking the patrol guys came around and the one had a gun, I'd be like, yo, how much you want for that gun? Let me take that off your hands.
I would like to buy one gun, please.
Give me one of your finest guns.
Gun.
But no. So I want to go on now to the critic review. And how'd you guys think this movie did? Where do you think this sits currently in
We
Rotten
already
Tomatoes?
know it got bad reviews at first, so
Well, where's it sit now?
where's it sit now?
Mm-hmm.
72.
Okay, Nico.
You know what? I'm just gonna come out the other side of the 73.
Oh,
You're both close. Dan, you are closer.
Fuck.
This
71.
is a 71.
No,
On
really?
Rotten Tomatoes.
Motherfucker! Wow.
Okay.
on Rotten Tomatoes from the critics, and it's got a 75% audience score. So, I want to know general thoughts and what's your score on this one?
So I can't say I like this one, but it was a really good movie, if that makes sense. This movie was one of the more disturbing ones that we've watched, in my opinion. And this is one of the few movies that we've watched that I actually was like scared or disturbed during. Very similar, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre to me, similar kind of vibe. And just Billy, the murderer, was just twisted and disturbing. And every time the phone call happened or we saw things from his perspective or whatever, or the scenes where he's in the attic, like rocking the chair that strangled Claire is in or whatever, was just really creepy and disturbing to me. So that's why I say I can't necessarily enjoy the experience, but it was super effective, really well done. I did like a lot of the music and the acting, and just a lot of it was just really well done. So I'm going to give this movie a 91.
Wow.
Okay.
I am. I really like this movie. I really did like this a lot. I think this had some moments where, especially upon talking with you two, there were some things that were perhaps a little bit unrealistic. Like, just again, the whole volume thing, like you would probably hear, dude, I would hope. But putting that aside and just, suspending my disbelief as you have to do for a lot of film, I think this was really, 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 really well done. I'm gonna give this I'm feeling a 90.
So, I didn't like this movie.
I can tell.
Yeah, unfortunate. I didn't like this movie, and my rationale is, to me, this movie is kind of like my gummy ship when I built it in the first Kingdom Hearts. Like,
Wow.
What?
It's got all the right equipment. It's got all the right things that it needs, I think. But for me, this is one of those scenarios that I have trouble kind of putting myself into. Nico, if you remember way back when we talked about The Wailing, and there was that one scene with the shaman, and I was saying how much scarier that was for me because of like where I come from, and my experiences and everything else like that. So for me, this situation is kind of almost the opposite.
That's interesting. Okay.
Like, I'm not afraid of that. I'm simply just not afraid. Like, that situation, this has never been something that I've been afraid of. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people, I feel like in your life, people will come try to test you. So it's not a ghost. It's not like...
Bro, I wouldn't say that Billy came to test them, bro.
Okay, well, you know what I mean, though. Like, it's a scenario where it's like, I guess it's a plausible scenario. Like, somebody could come to your house and try it. People could, someone could break in and try and mess you up, bro. Like, people could. I'm saying people could. Somebody could.
I mean,
and
again, I think this is more than somebody breaking into a house to mess you up.
Like, Justin, is your whole argument crime happens?
Well, no, I'm saying like, I'm not so scared of it because of the strong human element behind it.
I see that, yeah.
Like, I'm more scared of like
because you are a strong human.
Well, no, it's not even that. Like, I don't think I'm about to like. I feel like this, right? If it's a person to come, I'm gonna like end my time, then you know what? That's how I gotta go out. But like, if it's a ghost, there's potentially some after effects that's about to follow.
That's a good point.
Like, it could be way worse.
Okay.
So that's my viewpoint on it. And I feel like, again, like, Billy was out here killing people, but Billy didn't have no gun. I'm not convinced Billy is like anything. Billy's like a man. Billy's like a dude, as far as I can tell. So, I don't know. I feel like if I was in a house with like my peoples, and don't get me wrong, like, I'm the type of dude, I'm paranoid about this shit, bro. Like, when I leave my house and then I come back after I've been away from my house, I actually do sweep my house just to be on the safe side. Like, I just give it a quick walkthrough because I always think there's about to be somebody chilling, bro. Chilling in the cut. But, look, that's all I know. But also, aside from all that, my just general not being scared of the scenario, this movie, I think, has a great legacy. I think it inspired a lot in the horror industry. I think it just inspired a lot in general about horror. And to be completely blunt and honest, and you could probably tell from the way I talked about it, but my favorite parts of the movie were actually the parts that had to deal with like kind of, I guess, kind of like gender specific issues. Like, I thought those were my favorite parts of the movie. I thought they were actually, just because I've studied a lot of that stuff, like I thought they were pretty realistic and accurate. Like just like the general dismissal, just like a lot of the stuff that was going on. But I liked that, but like not in like a horror sense, just more in like that shit actually really happened sense.
It's good writing, yeah.
So I liked that. At points, not to turn a coin or a phrase from you, Nico, but I thought it was goofy at points. I really did. So honestly, just for the legacy alone, this one's going to get a 65. But honestly, like, I feel like for me personally, that's almost like a little generous. Like, I really didn't like this movie. And honestly, the pacing I thought was turgid. Like, I thought that like there were large stretches of pointlessness. Because like, real talk, like the first half an hour and the last half an hour are when a lot of things happen in the movie. And there's like a lot of chat, a lot of talking that I think is mad unnecessary. Like them spending the time searching for I guess she was in middle or high school, the girl who died. Like, I thought there was like way too much time spent on that. Like, I didn't think they needed to go do the search. I didn't think they needed to go do any of that. I thought that, I don't know, some parts of it felt contrived. So for me, 65 is what I'm getting at. So it's time to, to put it all on the table. I'm assuming this one gets a recommend from both of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the legacy, I do recommend it. But I ain't giving it no golden seal, though. Yeah. Unfortunately, no
That's
golden seal
all
for me.
That's all good.
Would you guys have both given it the golden seal?
I think I would have.
I don't think so. Even though I gave it a 91.
Oh, not me,
I don't
thank
think
God.
So.
Yeah, once again, I'm going to blame Dan. No, I'm playing. It's my fault. But any last words before we wrap this one up?
One thing I forgot to mention before, one thing that I do like is you never see Billy. You never actually see the killer.
Yeah.
And I
That's
think
true.
that maybe is a little bit of inspiration or influence on the later movies. Because, I mean, a lot of the later movies, you do see the killer, but like at the end or something, like there's a long buildup of that. But in this movie, you never once actually see Billy.
True. The only thing I wanted to add was like a quick fucking PSA. Like, don't do that shit. It's not cool.
Yeah, don't murder people. You're right.
Well, yes to that. But also like, don't be scaring the shit out of people. Like, just don't do that shit.
Don't harass
Like,
motherfuckers. Just
chill. But what you could do instead is if you like what we said on this podcast, you could drop us a line on social media. We're on Twitter and Instagram at DOTD Horror. We're also on Facebook. Don't open that door. So yeah, let us know your thoughts. Let us know if you agree with Nico and Dan. They're right. Let us know if you agree with me. I'm right. Let us know if you're all wrong. We're all wrong. Or maybe you think you're wrong. Let us know either way. But till next time, take care of one another. Merry Christmas to everyone who celebrates, and if not, I hope you have a great fucking time off from your work. If you don't get time off, then I'm fucking sorry, but hopefully you get paid time and a half. If you don't get paid time and a half, at least, I don't know.
Christmas is a Saturday this year, bro. It sucks.
oof.
Well, not for me. This is the first year I get Boxing Day off in a while. Boxing Day is like big in the international community, you guys, okay? It's not just about America, okay? Boxing Day is very important. What do you do on Boxing Day? It's when you get rid of all the boxes you got from Christmas. So, till then, we took this a bit long, but we hope everyone has a great, great, great time, regardless of how you spend your holiday season. But till next time, take care of one another. Keep yourself safe. And as always, dear listener, don't open that door. Bye. ching, 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 ho, ho, ho.
What racist ass song was that?
No, it's the sleigh bells. It's the sleigh bells. The ching, 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 ching. The sleigh bells. What sound does that
Sleigh bells
make?
don't go ching ching.
Yes, they do.
Do not.
What do you mean? Yes, they do.
Oh my god.
What sound do sleigh bells make?
They jingle.
Not that. They fucking jingle. They don't go ching ching ching.
What? Okay, fine. Redact that and put in some fucking sleigh bells and have me saying ho 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 at the end. Can't fucking believe you people.